Visual Traffic Recorded Online Training, Traffic Management Session 2. In this session we'll cover the log stages, log editor, log options, log icons, the log grid, how to merge special programming, how to work the bump list, how to finalize your log, how to fill your log, and log reports. Log stages. Visual Traffic has 5 stages of a log, and as you look at the log calendar, you'll be able to see the stages of the log. Notice that your log calendar is kept in the media month, and the days are color-coded. A black border on the log indicates a skeleton log. The skeleton log is a day that is not yet online, and this log cannot be edited. The next stage is a green log. The green border means that this is a dynamic log. The log is constantly in a state of change, so if you make edits to this log, don't expect them to be there the next time you go in. This log reschedules on the average of once an hour throughout the day. When your log is in the dynamic stage, when you put in a new order, VT will bump a spot with a low priority in order to put in a higher priority spot. The next stage is pigeonhole. The pigeonhole log is outlined in yellow. When putting an order in that affects a pigeonholed log, VT will not bump a spot to make room for a spot. If there is room, however, VT automatically places that spot. This is the log you edit each day before you send it to the on-air studio. The red border is an official log. These are user-defined. The user sets the log official. When you are entering an order that affects an official log, that spot will go to the bump list. VT will never automatically schedule a spot to an official log. You would have to manually add it to your log. This is a log that would send to the control room. It's also the log you would reconcile the next morning to make sure all spots had aired. And then we have the blue border. The blue border indicates logs that have been accepted for billing. You cannot get to them. There is no format there. And if you tried to open it, it would tell you that no log day existed. If you needed to make changes to the spots that were on those logs after accepting logs, you would need to edit the invoice. When you select a log, you can tell the selection by the turquoise border that goes around the log. In this case, I have selected the 6th. Log editor. There are 2 ways to open the log editor in Visual Traffic. You can go to the Logs menu and Log Editor. And when the log editor opens up, you would need to click Open Log to select your log day and station. Another way to do this would be to go to Logs, Log Maintenance, and double-click the date from the log calendar. To make the log full screen, simply click the Maximize button. Log Options. And each user can arrange this log editor to meet their preferences. But before we do that, there are some things that you need to take care of. You'll need to go to Log and Options. You only need to do this the first time you're working with a log, or if you want to make changes to the display, or if you've had to reset your default log editor positions. The log columns portion of this screen is talking about the log editing screen. What do you want to show there? Do you want your cart to come before the description? If so, click Cart and then the Move Up. Do you want to add talent to your screen so you can see the talent on the screen? Click Add and then select where you want it to be placed. In the middle, you have spot placement warnings. It is our advice to make sure that each one of these boxes is checked so that you'll be warned in case of an advertiser conflict, an avail length issue, the avail position, avail target, avail set lengths, copy, permit, restrict, the date target, the event time target, product code conflict, and spot pattern separation. When you're first beginning to work with a log, it's also a good idea to turn on Display Verbose Placement Warnings. This will give you more information about what spots are in conflict with one another. And finally, you have your bump list columns, and these cover the bump list items shown in the bottom of your screen. I like to add copy to mine, and I also like to add spot pattern, so I'll know which line of the order I'm looking at. When I add spot pattern, I put it between order number and event time. Go ahead and click OK, and your changes will now be applied to the windows that are open. So you'll see now my cart number is displayed here, and I have a talent field. And on the bottom of my bump list, I have an order number, spot pattern, event time, and then my copy. log icons. Let's look at the icons across the top of your screen. We talked about the open log, so if you needed to open a log, this is how you could do it. Select your station and the date. If you have more than one station that you work with, you can simply change stations from this screen rather than closing and selecting it from the outside by clicking Station and then select the station you wish to switch to. The black arrows allow you to move back a day or forward a day in the logs, and you also have a log calendar where you could click on another date and click OK. At that point, your log would jump to that date. The next icon is a bump spot icon. This will bump whatever spot is highlighted on your log. Another way to bump a spot would be to right-click on the spot and say Bump Spot, or you could use your Control-B key combination to bump a spot. The next two arrows are a move up, move down. This allows you to move the items within a break up or down. If you have the first item in the break selected, you can click the Edit Time window. This allows you to change the time of this break for a one-time only situation. The Place Spot icon would allow you to highlight a spot in the bump list, highlight an avail in the log, and place the spot. Notice when I placed the spot, I was placing it outside of my time range. The placement warnings tells me that the time target was 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. and I'm trying to place it in the midnight hour. I also got an error under the primary product code. My primary product code you'll see is Home Improvement, and the By City Decor also has that primary product code. You could choose to drop and ignore or cancel, and in this case I'm going to cancel. The red X in the icon bar is a delete button. When you click the delete, you are asked if you are sure you wish to delete the selected log item, and I will say yes. That will delete that avail. If I click the delete item and I'm on a spot, it won't delete the spot, it will send the spot to the bump list and then delete the avail. The next three icons are additional items you can put on your screen. This turns on and off your bump list. We also have something called Spot Properties. When you open the Spot Properties window, I actually enlarge it so I can see more information, and click on a spot on the log, you will be able to see the name of the advertiser, the salesperson, the order number, the start date and end date of the order, the start date and end date of this pattern, what type of pattern it is, how many spots are scheduled in this pattern, etc. You can see this information for spots on the log and in the bump list simply by clicking the tabs at the top. The next item would be Related Spots. This opens on the left side of your screen, and Related Spots refers to where the spots are located on the log. If I click Wholesale Mattress Center at 1:50 a.m., I will see on the left side here that this advertiser is also located at 4:20 a.m., 8:12, 12:32, 17:32, and 20:52. Related spots is useful if you have a spot that is supposed to be placed every hour. You have two spots in your bump list and you don't know what hours to put them in. Click on your related spots. You would scroll through this and then you would see what hours needed spots still. We have log items to add to the log. When you click the log items, it opens on the lower right side. You can move the column simply by clicking it and moving it. This would allow me to add a unit back to the log. If I needed to add a unit back to that first break, I would click on the unit I needed and drag it over and say OK. You have to drag it into a place that will allow it. You'll see this has a plus. If I click here, it has the not allowed. The next icon is log totals, and this would give you information about the totals on your log, the spot dollars, the commercial total allowed, how much has been used, what is left, etc. If you need to find something in the log, you have the binoculars, or you can use your Control F to find, and you would type in text and it would jump to the next location of that text. To keep searching, use your F3 function key, and it will search through the log for you. When you come to the end of the day, it asks you if you wish to keep searching. The refresh will simply refresh your screen, pick up any changes that somebody else might have made, such as copy assignment on the order, and then print allows you to print many reports. Log grid. Let's actually look at the internal parts of our log now. Log notes are printed in yellow. Your events are in a turquoise on this gray background. Avails are a white background, and that's where you would place your spots, is in the white background. The dark gray underneath your avail set is information about the avail set, allowed, used, and remaining. If we adjust the column size, you will see that there's a total allowed of 2 minutes, 4 units. Commercial time is 2 minutes, 4 units. Non-commercial is 0 and 0. Used, we've used 1 minute and 2 units, and that was commercial time. And your remaining is 1 minute of commercial time and 2 units. If your break is full, the remaining will be yellow. We come to later on in our day where we have different items. You look at the 7:12 break. We have 3 minutes allowed. It's total audio time allowed. 2 minutes of it are commercial. 1 minute is network sponsor. It's non-commercial. We've used 2 minutes, and those 2 minutes happen to be commercial time made up of 3 units. So we have no commercial time remaining in the break, even though we have a unit remaining. The remaining minute is made up of non-commercial time. If you were to overfill a break, and we'll just do that by dragging this up, this is where it warns you commercial time is overfilled. We'll drop it, ignore, keep filling here. And I'm just dropping and ignoring these for purposes of illustration. It warns you that you are overfilling the break. And the remaining time turns red. The only way that this will happen is if the user overfills the break. VT will never overfill the break. Another thing to notice is in the flags column, this is advertiser scheduled, but the asterisk means that the operator placed the spot there. VT did not. We'll go ahead and bump these spots that we added using the Control B, and you'll see that it puts them right back in the bump list. Merge special programming. Let's say you had a sporting event on this day and you needed to merge the sporting event into your log. Under our log items, if we switch this to log templates, we could click on the sporting event, for instance, Braves baseball, and drag it over. You can drag it anywhere into the log because when you let go of it, it's going to ask you what time do you want to start merge. If we say we want this to begin at 1:30 in the afternoon, so we are going to copy it to 1:30. We are starting from midnight and we are doing the entire length of the broadcast of 4 hours. We'll merge, and when you merge, all of the spots already in that log will be sent to the bump list. To go to 13:30, there are several ways you can do it. You can scroll your log until you get there. You could page down until you got there. Or you can use your Control G to go to a time and then simply type in the time you wish to go to. Here is your special programming. And at this point, if you had sponsors for this event, you would click Edit, Reschedule Bump List, make sure your date range is correct, and OK. It's going to set the status of your log to read-only. The only way it could reschedule these spots is to make the log read-only. You have to give up control. We're going to say yes. It has sent the reschedule message successfully to the visual traffic scheduler. This may take as long as 30 seconds for it to schedule. We can go back to Edit now and allow changes to see what all was placed on the log. You'll notice that all of our bumps have now gone back to the log. But let's say we made a mistake on the merge and we shouldn't have put it at that time. It's an easy fix. Simply close the log, drag your regular template back over the log, and say yes and OK. And then to make sure that it has finished scheduling, you'll need to check your system monitor. You go back to VT, System Monitor, and you would check your Scheduler tab to make sure the Reschedule Bump List was not in this Scheduler window. So we can close that and go back into the log, and your log is back as it should be. Working the bump list. You'll see that all of our spots have placed, but I'm going to go ahead and bump some so that we can see how to work with them manually. Down on the bottom, you can arrange these columns. Remember, by using log and options, you can also change the width of them with your mouse. All of these columns are sortable. You can simply click on the header and it will sort by that. So you could sort by priority, by advertiser name, by event time, etc. You've already seen us reschedule the bump list through the Edit menu. Now let's drag some of these spots into our breaks to show you how they work. I've clicked on it and I dragged it to an open avail, and there were no conflicts, so I was allowed to place it there. If there was a conflict, if I were to try to put it too close to itself, there would be an advertiser code separation warning and a primary product code separation warning. I could drop and ignore, or I can cancel. If I were to drag a spot and drop it on top of another advertiser, that advertiser would bump to the bump list. By clicking on Auburn Eye Care, I can now see where the other spots have been placed. So let's go ahead and put some earlier in the day. And you'll notice now this says refreshed, and there is an asterisk next to the spot that I placed. And then we'll go up even earlier in the day and put one in the 1 o'clock hour. Let's go to Monday now and look at some of the other items in the log. You'll see that we have a bumped spot sitting in the log on July 4th. Let's go to 1500 and see if we can place this spot on our log. It's a fine dining So let's try to put it there. You would be warned that it was in conflict with itself at 1532, so we're going to ignore that. What I'm going to do, because I'm in the bump list now, I can see that I'm at 15, 16, and 18, but I'm not in the 5 p.m. hour. Let's come to 5 p.m. and go ahead and place it in this break. It still gives me a warning that I'm too close to myself because this advertiser has a 60-minute separation. I can choose to drop and ignore all conflicts. On Monday, July 4th, we have another situation where we have 2 bump spots. If we try to place these spots, you have a warning that the selected spot is marked as a true top and tail, that the top spot must be placed in the first avail in a avail set. When you have a true top and tail, the top must go in the first avail of the break. So what do? We click on an empty avail and move it up. Then drag this up. You'll see it looks like one spot now, and when we place the top, it asks where we want the tail to go. So now you have 2 spots. Even though it looks like one spot on the bump list, it is 2 spots. Find another place for it to go. Let's move it up here. Select the slot for the spot to go. If you would like to bump all of your spots for the day or bump all of the spots for a time frame, we do a group bump. If you go to Edit and Group Bump, you can bump within a specified time range. So let's say morning drive. And let's say we need to get rid of everything that's a 100 or below. So that's bump spots by priority, including a below 100, and bump spots. 3 spots were bumped. If I needed that time for regular spots, then I could bump those and put regular spots in there. Go ahead and reschedule our bumps again and wait our 30-ish seconds and allow changes. The more bumps you have, the longer it takes to schedule them. Now let's say we need to bump some spots to another day. If we needed to bump psychs from this day until tomorrow, there are several ways of doing it. You can right-click and bump spot to another day. I could do a group bump and bump all spots for psychs, and they would go to the bump list and I can bump them from there. Or I can go to View, Find Spots, Spots on Log, Advertiser Name of Psychs, and Find. When I highlight all of these spots, I can bump them to another day from here. For now, we'll just send them to the bump list. Close this. You'll see now they are in the bottom of our list. Here's our bump count, 7. It was a pigeonhole status. If I needed to delete these spots, at least temporarily, I would highlight all of them, right-click, and delete spots. These spots are not truly deleted until such time as I accept my logs for billing, but there is a deleted bin just like there is a bumped bin for your spots. One way that this would work is if you have a lot of promos and PSAs on your log, and they're in your log, but you have 70 or 80 bumps. I bump all of my preemptible spots, and then I delete them and reschedule my log so my paid spots go on, and then I put these back into the log by highlighting them, restore deleted spots, and then I'd go back to my bumped and I would reschedule these. This way it's easier for you to fit all of your paid spots onto the log without having to manually bump all of your preemptibles. We've done the View, Find Spots. We'll go for all spots on the log now and find. All of these column headers are sorting fields. You can sort by time, the status, by the advertiser. Flags, if you look at the flags, you see LLTT. These are tops and tails. You could group it by priority so that you make sure to bump the lowest priorities. You could group by the length, the cart number if they'd been assigned, copy, spot, sales. Go ahead and close this. Let's go back to the 3rd and let's rotate and assign our copy. So we're going to go to Edit, Cart Copy Assignment, Rotate Copy and Assign Carts. You can choose to preview the missing copy report from here. Say yes. And this report warning is only referenced from Report Center. It doesn't matter in here. We can go ahead and preview the report. No data report means all of our spots have copy. Another way that you could look for missing copy would be from View, Find Spots, Spots on Log, and No Assigned Cart. When you click Find, you'll see the spots found say 0. Other things that you can do from the Edit menu and Cart Copy Assignment. At the end of the day, before I export my log, I would replace invalid copy, just in case there had been last-minute copy changes and I'd already assigned my copy earlier in the day. Finalize log. Now it's time to finalize our log, so let's close this and go to Log Options. When we go to log options, we're picking our start date and our end date. We are calling the log official. You could also rotate your copy at this time if you had not already done so. You could also choose to print your copy missing report, or you can choose your log conflicts and spot placement. But let's go ahead and just execute on this one. We're just calling it official and rotating our copy and execute. And yes, this is setting our log from pigeonhole to official. When we made the third official, the seventh became pigeonholed. Fill log. Now that my log is official, let's do something called fill. Our fill routine is used to fill breaks within a time range to time, usually in a satellite situation. If we go to Edit and Filler and Fill Log, you can fill your log with a time range. Let's create a new fill configuration. We'll name this FM Overnight. We want this to start at midnight and go until 6 a.m. We're leaving the length at 0 because it can go at any length. I do want to apply advertiser separation and product code separation. I'm not worried about pattern definition. I'm not worried about matching a veil length. I do want to include empty avail sets. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to click Fill. There were 12 open avails. I filled 11 of them. Time open was 5.5. Time filled was 5.5. So there's one open avail still, but all of our time is filled. We click OK and close, and you will see that all breaks are now filled. The filler spots are FS, priority of 1 and P. You'll see that they do not have a cart assigned yet because of the dashed line in the cart field. So once again, we'll go to Edit, Cart Copy Assignment, Rotate Copy and Assign Carts. No. And you will see that we are missing some copy. Right-click on the spot and go to Copy. Display expired. This spot was actually expired. I knew which one it was. It said filler spot up above. So let's extend this copy date and OK. Close this and rotate again. Or you could right-click on it and assign cart and do this all the way through. Or we can go find which ones need to be fixed. Go ahead and close. Let's rotate again. No. And we'll go to View, Find Spots on Log with no assigned cart and Find. And everything has one in there. Log reports. Now that everything has been placed, it's time to print some reports. We can do it either from Print or from our Print menu. I want to print log conflicts. And when you do this, it processes the log conflicts. Once again, we can ignore this because this is only used when we're looking at it from Report Center. We don't need to look at our summary, dates, or filters. It's already filtered for this log. Preview. This report will show any conflicts on the log, whether it be the advertiser separation, product code separation, etc. So we have a situation here where online class advertiser has an issue with itself because the fill order was at 12:51:30. And we can ignore that because it's a filler. All of these are advertiser separations. So that would be okay. The next report to run would be our spot placement discrepancy. In this report, we'll show us spots that are placed incorrectly. Go ahead and preview. And this is the information you want to see. No data to report. If you had placed a spot outside of its time range, or if it was in the bump list, it would show on this report. Let's go ahead and edit Cart Copy Assignment and replace our invalid copy. And now print our program log. So we're going to go to Printer, Log, Program Log, and we can do it portrait or landscape with live script by the hour, or you can print a work log. In this case, I'm going to a program log portrait and preview. This is a printed log from Visual Traffic. You'll see the time column with the time of the spots and any events, the cart number, the log description /source, the length of the spot, and then the copy name. We also have the priority column. To review what we've covered in Traffic Management Lesson 2, we discussed the different stages of the log: skeleton, dynamic, pigeonhole, official, and accepted. We discussed how to open the log editor, and then log options once inside the editor to customize the screen for each user. We discussed the log icon menu and what they meant. We learned how to read the log grid, We also learned how to merge special programming such as sporting events and how to reschedule that log. Working with the bump list, we learned to do a group bump, bump to another day, how to delete spots and restore them, and how to use the view Find Spots. We finalized our log, rotating copy and assigning carts, and then calling logs official. We filled the log for satellite stations, and we printed our log reports, the spot discrepancy, log conflicts, and your program log for the control room. From all of us at Marketron, thank you for viewing.